Saskatchewan needs to beat Toronto, and better yet, Rochester needs to beat New England. Coupled with the emotions, playing for Tucker Williams. This is Tucker Out Lymphoma Night here at KeyBank Center in downtown Buffalo. And unfortunately, the rash of Bandit injuries, it's time for this team to come up large. From the KeyBank Center in downtown Buffalo, hello everybody and welcome to Bandits Lacrosse. I am John Gertler and joined by my partner of 14 seasons, Randy Mearns. And Randy, we go back to 10:48 a.m. this morning here at KeyBank Center. Dane Smith, the reigning MVP of the league, stepping on a loose lacrosse ball, rolling his left ankle. He is out for tonight's game.
And now, please welcome to the floor, your 2017 Buffalo
Lacrosse. You know, when you even practice, you'd be surprised that that does not happen even more. You know, and again, just an unfortunate incident. You know, you're probably getting up and down, getting some transition. All of a sudden, you're not really paying attention. This is where, like, you know, box cross guys have have pretty phenomenal periphery, right? Their eyes, they see loose balls because when you practice, there's balls flying everywhere. And just unfortunately, you know what? He got one. You know, and again, we're talking about a game of inches. Well, in practice, it was a game of inches for Dane Smith.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's out. So, you know, they got to just take that in, say, hey, you know what? Our guy's out. How do we support him? What can we do to win this game and be focused and be ready to do it offensively?
We had mentioned this in the pregame show of tonight's game about who takes over for the leading scorers. But, Randy, you said it's by committee, and it's got to be everybody.
Well, yeah, it's got to be everybody. It's going to be, you know, you got Blaze Reardon. He's the lefty, the youngster. He's in the lineup, right? Ryan Benesh is going to be holding the ball a little bit more tonight, I would imagine. Mark Statehouse, Pat Saunders, you know, he's got to have a big game. But I think Alex Keto Hill coming out the front door a little bit will bring a little bit of a different dynamic. You know, he's been a little bit more of a transition D guy, loose ball guy. So, but again, it's going to have to be by committee. They got to get good shots. They got to get to the heart of the defense, and they got to bury on Poulin.
Anthony Cosmo gets the start tonight, Randy. He's got to have a big game.
Oh, he definitely does, you know, Johnny, because if he has a big game, then the Buffalo Bandits will continue to build confidence, build belief, and that's going to be a big thing for the Bandits tonight.
As we had mentioned at the start of tonight's broadcast, this is Tucker Out Lymphoma Night. A salute to Tucker Williams, who lost his battle to cancer 28 months ago. We'll bring in Sean Williams from the floor in a message.
And research. This night is also about remembering and honoring our braver than brave son, Tucker. We love you, Tucker. We miss you, Tucker. We also remember and honor Jed, another young Bandit fan who battled synovial sarcoma. We honor every child who's been stolen from their family and friends. We honor these children whose bright futures were ripped away from them because there is no cure. Tonight, your Bandits play for those who can't. Tonight, you, fans, are going to cheer for those who can't. Tonight, Banditland, let's fill this arena with positivity and love for everyone we've lost and for all the brave and the brave patients out there who are fighting cancer right now. On behalf of Tucker and my family, I'd like to thank Scott Loeffler, who puts his heart and soul into this night. Thank you, Scott, for loving our Tucker like you do. I'd also like to thank the Pagula family, the Buffalo Bandit organization, the players, and of course you, the Bandit fans, for your continued support over the last 3 years. Remember to live more, laugh more, love more, and always be braver than brave. Love you, Tucker.
Emotional statement from the great 51, Sean Williams, 17 years in the National Lacrosse League, a handful of them in Buffalo with the Bandits, and now an assistant coach with this club. And coming to the face-off circle at center here at the KeyBank Center with his family. His daughter, Elena, will be singing the Canadian national anthem as well. And the beautiful Williams family tonight in celebration of their son, Tucker, who over a course of a couple of years just battled Burkitt lymphoma. And the entire Bandit club now coming over to be a part of the Williams family, as they have been over the course of the 4 years that we have celebrated Tucker Out Lymphoma Night here in Buffalo. 28 months ago, Tucker Williams, age 8, lost his battle to cancer. His favorite team, the Buffalo Bandits. And even his brother Dyson had mentioned earlier in the week about Tucker, is it okay that you cheer for the Toronto Maple Leafs? Because Tucker was a big New York Ranger fan. So Dyson, the brother, had to ask if it was okay. And spiritually, I'm sure that Tucker is there with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Rangers. But most importantly, here tonight with the Buffalo Bandits, a ceremonial face-off. Steve Priolo, who will be acting as captain this evening. Billy D. Smith out and most likely for the season because of a torn hamstring. And Jordan McIntosh, another fine player for Georgia. He does the official draw work, and the pregame celebration here in Buffalo, and the hugs continue not only out on the field, and this is the only time the teams will be hugging or shaking hands until the end of the game, but the fans here in Buffalo just so supportive over the 4 years in the celebration of Tucker Out Lymphoma Night and the recognition of just the hard battle that goes along. Billy D. Smith, the Bandits captain, in his gray suit, also a part of the Williams family in the celebration as well. And Randy, I know that this went through, a couple of moments to go. A moment of silence, please.
Thank you. And now please remain standing for O Canada and the Star Spangled Banner, performed this evening by Tucker Williams' sister Delana and the Buffalo Bandit own Kevin Kennedy.
Oh Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Elena Williams singing the Canadian national anthem, and now Kevin Kennedy with the national anthem for the United States.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great crowd on hand here tonight at the KeyBank Center in downtown Buffalo. John Gertler, Randy Mearns with you this evening. Nick Lozanowski, our producer on the radio. Barry McClellan for NLL TV. And hello to all of our fans on Twitter this evening. Focusing in over to the left side of our broadcast location, the Buffalo Bandits net. And hovering around, starting goaltender tonight, Anthony Cosmo, .782 save percentage, a 5-4 record, made 46 saves last Friday night in Toronto. Came in for a bit of a relief for Dave DeRusio last Saturday night in Georgia, making 6 saves. And supporting the proud colors of the Buffalo Bandits and all of the jerseys here in the stands this evening, Mike Poulin will be starting for the Georgia Swarm. Coming into this evening's game, .775 save percentage, a 10-4 record, tied for the best record in the NLL with Aaron Bold of the Rush. However, an interesting statistic, Randy, here against the Bandits in this series, only .722 save percentage and an average of 15 goals against. So if we're going to accent any positive for the Bandits tonight, who will be without Dane Smith due to an ankle injury sustained earlier today in the shoot-around, you got to rely on that.
Well, yeah, you definitely do, John. And you know what? Georgia Swarm isn't afraid to get up into a track meet, play early offense, play transition offense, and then that's going to lead you to that, you know, a higher scoring game. And hopefully Buffalo can take advantage of that against Poulin tonight.
Chris Williams is the crew chief. The assistant referees, Matt Robinson and Blair Ferguson. Jeremy Bailey will be at the shot clock. We're underway with the draw, picked up now by Buffalo, and that's Tim Edwards, who will whittle at the ball in the webbing of his stick while Buffalo's front door opens up, and out they come down into the Swarm zone with it down to the far side. Buffalo's Anthony Malcolm, the right wing pass over to Jones now. Streaking in, and the guy that scored the game's first goal last week is Pat Saunders, and the loose ball picked up by Georgia. And Randy, watch this transition by Georgia.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they got phenomenal stick skills. Guys will they don't get the transition. They come out hot. They come out fast, Johnny. A lot of picks, a lot of seals. They'll get a lot of shots to the net.
A lot of chaos going on. A shot straight on. Cosmo makes the save. The left side of the Buffalo net and swept up by the veteran Anthony Cosmo. Clearing it back over to Mitch Jones and up the right wing lane. In over the line goes Matthew Bennett with a shot. Saved by Poulin. The rubber goes to the near boards and picked up by a quick moving Alexander Krepensek into the line. Feed pass out in front. Splitting save by Cosmo up the shot by Connor Sellers. Rebound into the far Buffalo corner. Scramble for the ball continues. Picked up by the Bandits. Good pressure on by the Swarm. And the Bandits trying to get out to midfield by the 8-second mark. They do. And back out they go, and the front door opens up. Saunders getting a left wing pass over to Anthony Malcolm, deking his way close to Poulin. Now moves from the slot. Right wing pass over to Mitch Jones. Jones has got some time and space. Jones hanging on to the ball with 5 to shoot. Back to the top of the slot. Shooting is Banesh. And it went up the side of Krepensek, and the ball picked up now by Georgia because of the shot clock violation. Shots even at 2, and here we go with Georgia coming up to midfield. Best record in the Eastern Division and looking for the best record overall with a win tonight here in Buffalo. Tall order for the Bandits. 92, Dane Smith out of tonight's game. Rolled an ankle at the morning shoot-around. Speaking of shots, there's a shot straight on right side of Anthony Cosmo. Rebound picked up by Georgia. Shot clock is reset. No score here in the first quarter. Feed pass down to the near side. Picked up over by Miles Thompson. Shot on wide, hitting the end boards. Rebound picked up by Buffalo and scooting back out at midfield. And here come the Bandits right to the restraining line of Georgia. No score here in the first. Ryan Banesh, who had 6 last Saturday night in Georgia at the right point. Field wide pass, tipping it over to Anthony Malcolm. He's hit hard right at the restraining line. Relief is Banesh. Now to the near side, over to Reardon. Reardon over to Alexander Keto Hill. Here's Hill to Banesh. 3 to shoot. Straight on. Rebound. Shot Reardon. Rebound again. And Poulin coming up with 2 fine saves. And the ball comes back out to midfield, led by Jordan McIntosh of the Swarm.
Yeah, both goaltenders have come here to play Buffalo. Some great opportunities. Poulin equal to the task. Same with Cosmo. 3 phenomenal saves, Johnny.
No score here in the first. Here comes Georgia streaking in. Shot on. Save. Cosmo rebound. Georgia from the far corner. Buffalo gets its defense back into position as the ball goes outside the restraining line, and now shot back in by Jackson. Far side pass, leaving it back over to Lyle Thompson. Everything in Division I lacrosse. Thompson from the top of the slot, shooting it to the left side, and Cosmo got his rubber on that one and swept it back behind the net and picked up by Buffalo and breaking out of their own zone in a quick transition for Buffalo. End of the line they go. Tim Edwards from Canisius College. Right up the street here from Buffalo, leaving the ball out at middle for Alexander Keto Hill, finding Mitch Jones. Jones from the near side, now scoots to the top of the slot. Far side pass over to Anthony Malcolm. There's a low drive, save. Poulin scissoring the ball between his pads, and the veteran netminder clearing it back out to middle, and finished off by the front door of Georgia, led by Ed Cuomo, the head coach of the Georgia Swarm, 17 years in the NLL. The end of the line, Kyle Matisse from the top of the slot. Far side pass deep in the corner, shot straight on. Save, Cosmo. He scissors the ball between his pads.
Yeah, one-on-one matchup. Priolo lost a step there, got up over top. Anthony Cosmo shutting that short side down, Johnny.
Here comes Buffalo outside the restraining line of Georgia. Mark Stainhouse now from the top of the slot. A right wing pass over to Manesh, field wide, back over to Anthony Malcolm, deep into the corner to Alexander Keto Hill. Hill getting it back over to Banesh, coming across the line from the right wing side's got a lane open. Banesh with a shot, shoulder save. Poulin with 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Poulin's outlet pass reaching and connecting over to Ethan O'Connor out of Hobart College. Now ball carried by Jordan Hall. Great acquisition by the Swarm, putting Jordan Hall in. Great playmaker. He sets himself up and leaves the ball, and the duties over to Lyle Thompson from the left point, being hit hard by Buffalo's defense and a couple of swats. 7 seconds to shoot for the Swarm, looking for an opening. Jordan Hall deking, shooting, save, Cosmo. Ball is swept but picked up nicely by Lyle Thompson. Resetting the shot clock. Miles Thompson from left. Dabbling with the ball, getting in closer to Anthony Cosmo, leaving it back out in front. Shot, save, Cosmo. Scramble for the ball, picked up by the Bandits.
Yeah, the Bandits are going to go to the box. I think it's going to be a holding call. Miles Thompson throws it behind and back to a guarded Lyle Thompson in front of the net. Great feed. Cosmo with the big shoulder save. With that being said, there's going to be a holding call.
I'm going to say this once for the game tonight. This game should be played by the players. There's two very talented teams out there, very tight quarters, and they've got to look after each other from that standpoint. The boys out on the floor tonight, led by the officiating squad, can just enjoy this great lacrosse, and that's what they should do. 9:59 left to play in quarter number 1, no score. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
Tyson, I don't know about you. Unity.
Glad I got sunshine in a bag of
282 million users worldwide. 62 million here in the United States and Canada. Twitter, good evening. 140 characters or less, but this is an expansion of this great medium of Twitter. We welcome all of our viewers tonight on Twitter. Hope you're enjoying the game from Buffalo, New York. John Gertler and Randy Mearns with you this evening. No score with the Bandits and Georgia Swarm from the top of the slot, working the power play. Very potent for the Georgia Swarm. The quarterback is Lyle Thompson. Over the shoulder feed shot, score. Randy Stotts, who was held goalless last weekend. And he finds net and gives Georgia a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, you don't want to take too many penalties against this Georgia Swarm team. I mean, they just got phenomenal stick skills, guys with range, guys that can just pick pick corners. And a great feed by Lyle Thompson and a one-timer. Randy Stotts just goes far side bounce. Cosmo, no chance on that. He's probably at about 10 feet, Johnny. No rotation. And the Swarm are up by 1 on the power play.
Third best power play in the NLL. Buffalo's number 1. Swarm went 4 for 5 last weekend. 57%. And they lead it 1-0. Randy Stotts with his 27th goal of the year. 36 points in his last 5 games. And this is only his 12th game of the season. Shane Jackson over to Randy Stotts, in over the line. He goes, dashes in close, feed pass out in front. It dribbles over to the right point, picked up by Jackson. Fine player that he is. Shot is blocked and picked up by Buffalo and pushed back out to midfield. 1-0 Georgia here in the first quarter of play. 9 minutes and 9 seconds remaining. Adam Will leaving the ball at the restraining line for the offensive forwards. It's Mitch Jones with a shot. That ricochets off a Georgia player. Rebound picked up by Anthony Malcolm. 12 seconds left on the shot clock. Plenty of time for Buffalo to get into position. From the far corner is Alexander Quito Hill shooting it low. That's blocked by Georgia's defense. Hill gets his own rebound. Hanging on to a 2 to shoot. And Hill will leave it into the near Georgia corner as the 30-second shot clock violation called on to Buffalo, and now Georgia getting the ball back out to midfield. 1-0 Georgia. It's Randy Stotts with the goal on the power play. Peeking close in, is taking a shot. Score! Georgia. And they're going to take a look at that one after the moves of Kyle Matisse with his 6'5", 225-pound frame.
Yeah, but Georgia's got so many guys that can initiate a dodge. Kyle Matisse just gets down on that low right wing, fakes to go up top, inside rolls his defender, and he's such a big man, 6'5", about 225, Johnny, hard to bring down. I don't think he touched the crease and just goes far side on Cosmo. Great individual effort.
Good goal by Kyle Matisse, his 25th of the season, and 8th point of the regular season series between these two clubs. 2-0 Georgia here in the first from the draw. Won by Edwards. Left back over to Mitch Desnew. Down outside Buffalo's restraining line is starting to play up from the far side. It's Kevin Brunell. Left wing pass over to Ryan Benesh. Tipping it back over deep into the corner to Mark Stainhouse. Trickling back out to the left point. Field wide pass back over to Benesh. Benesh, Stainhouse, shot on. Poulin with a save. The rebound picked up by Georgia. And here come the Swarm. Leading it 2-0 here in the first quarter of play. Shots on goal, 10-7, favoring Georgia. End of the line, Matisse tipping it down to the near side. Far side pass. Intercepted there over the front of Buffalo's net, but cleared aside, and Anthony Cosmo clears it back out to Steve Priolo, who will be a part of this rush. In over the line he goes. Mitch Jones has it now to the near side. One arming it. Hanging on, getting his 2 hands on that stick, taking away from a trio of Swarm defenders. Ball is swatted away, and the Swarm pick it up and settle it down with Alexander Krepensek getting the ball back out to midfield and approaching Buffalo's restraining line. Randy Ladouceur, assistant coach, along with Sean Ferris. Ladouceur gearing up the offense. End of the line goes Lyle Thompson. Far side pass deep into the corner. Dug out by Jackson. Feed pass out in front, trying to thread the needle. Errant ball, 4 seconds to shoot for Georgia. Over the line, shot left side of the Buffalo net, and Buffalo's got the ball. It's Mitch Jones trying to get out of his own zone. A relief pass down the right wing lane over to Mitch Desnew, who will push Buffalo up to midfield and approach the restraining line. Desnew is a part of the play, goes down to the near corner, uses the turf to get it over to Ryan Benesh, who goes field wide again over to Alexander Quito Hill. Hill in over the line. Trying to get a steal and a pick. Hill taking a shot, leaving it out in front. Tried to get a little too cute with it to Alexander or Anthony Malcolm, and it's batted away by Georgia, and Joel White will bring it out for the Swarm. They lead it 2-0 here in the first with 6 minutes and 24 seconds remaining. End of the line goes Jordan McIntosh. Tipping it back out to Randy Stotts, leaving it down to the corner to Kyle Matisse. Moving his big 6'5" frame from the top of the slot. Far side pass over to Jackson. He dekes his way in. Gets a nice pick from Johnny Palace. Now to Stotts, dekes his way. He's got some room. Takes a shot. He scores.
Oh, great individual move by Randy Stotts. Real quick ball movement by the Georgia Swarm. It rotates out to Stotts. A defender comes flying up. Stotts just kind of hesitates, does the old split dodge, and just goes straight in, goes high to low, far side on Cosmo. That's number 2 on the night for Randy Stotts.
How about that? Held goalless last Saturday night, and now his 28th of the season. I'd mentioned the fact that he went goalless Saturday night, but he also had 6 helpers. So his job that night down in Atlanta, setting up the plays, and very responsible, great playmaker Randy Stotts. Plays for the Six Nation Chiefs in the summertime. Here comes Anthony Malcolm with a shot. Save. Poulin. Rebound jumps out in front. Mitch Jones goes after it. What a save by Mike Poulin. Jones getting the rebound. Resetting the shot clock. Stainhouse to Malcolm. Top of the slot is Ryan Benesh. A right wing pass over to Mitch Jones. Deking. Getting a pick from Benesh. There's a quick shot. A save by Poulin. He's got all the angles tonight, Randy.
Oh, and then this is going to be an inadvertent penalty. I think it's going to go against Keto Hill. Goaltender interference.
In over the line as the 6th attacker is out. Poulin to the bench. 3-0 Georgia here in the first quarter of play. 5:05 remaining. Ball bounces outside the line, and it'll be picked up by Edwards, and the play will stop. And the second penalty against Buffalo will go against Alexander Keto Hill.
Yeah, it's going to be goaltender interference. Keto Hill was the recipient of that backside pass. He tried to go over top of Poulin. Poulin kept that big right shoulder up, and as he was getting ready to outlet, he was still in the crease. Keto Hill puts a stick up. Interference. Tough call on Keto Hill. Regardless, the Swarm going on their second power play of the evening. They're 1 for 1 on one shot by Randy Stotts, the first time out, Johnny.
These two clubs have 10 shorthanded goals. See what Buffalo can do with their prowess shorthanded. While Georgia goes to work down in the zone. Shot just to the left side of Anthony Cosmo. Try to get a quick stick. Set up for Shane Jackson in pursuit. Buffalo's defense. Now to the left side. Over the shoulder feed. Quick stick shot. Score. Miles Thompson.
Oh, just magicians. Just magicians on the floor, Johnny. They first go into a cycle. They look for Shane Jackson on the backside. Nothing's there. Then they just beat the Bandit rotation. And a behind the back by Stotts over to Miles Jones. Just reaches over the far side of Anthony Cosmo. Second power play goal for the Swarm, and they're up by 4 that quick.
29th of the season for Miles Thompson, all-time great of Albany as well. Now 12 power play goals on the season. Coming into this evening's game, 5 goals, 5 assists in this regular season series. Oh, the Swarm with a 4-0 lead here in the first quarter of play. 4 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. Buffalo the ball in over the line as Anthony Malcolm from the top of the slot. Errant shot hitting the end boards. Rebound is picked up by Georgia, and a 2-on-1 break for the Swarm. In over the line they go. There's a shot low, blocked by Buffalo's defense off the stick of Alex Krepensek. Rebound picked up by the Bandits, and trying to scoot it out to midfield. They do it, and Andrew Watt will bring the Bandits back out to midfield. 4-0 Georgia. In over the line. Jones, Stainhouse with a shot going wide. Rebound Buffalo. Jones, feed pass out in front, score! It's Ryan Benesh!
Second chance opportunity, and Buffalo needed that in a bad way. Stainhouse with a big drive from the outside. Jones corralling the loose ball, falling. Sees a streaking Ryan Benesh, puts his stick up high. Poulin gets on his toes, goes right between the legs for the first marker for the Bandits tonight.
Had 6 last week, his 28th of the year. Ryan Benesh, again, shooting a very respectable 20% from the floor. And in this series, shooting 60%. 4-1 Georgia. First quarter. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
Welcome, lacrosse fans. Tyson Geik of NLL Productions here with you right now, and I'm joined by Shay Hewen, CEO and founder of the U-Hawk Camera. We have some exciting news for you today. The NLL has officially partnered with the U-Hawk Camera, the new official action camera of the National Lacrosse League. Shay, an exciting moment, for both parties here.
Yeah, it's an incredible day. It's a big step and a big moment in the history of sports, and for the National Lacrosse League to be the first league to step up and bring actual player point of view, video footage to fans at home in the actual real raw competition in the season. It's a monumental day, and we're very excited to be the official camera provider to be a part of that.
Tucker Williams' life succumbed to cancer 28 months ago. Sean Williams joining us, and there isn't a moment that goes by that you do not reflect on the great moments that you had with your son Tucker, but taken so early in life.
Oh, without a doubt. It's, we are very fortunate and privileged that, that Scott Loeffler and the Bandits organization puts this night on, and we're very fortunate to be part of other events that honor our son. And it's, obviously it's never easy, but part of his legacy, our job story is to carry on his legacy, and this is another step in that direction, and just getting the word out. And it's definitely, we want to make sure that it's just not about Tucker. It's about all kids with anything going on. It's that the braver than brave is whatever you're facing, and we're definitely understand that everyone has struggles, and so we just want everyone to get that message across. We can all be more braver than brave day to day.
Sean Williams with us this evening, and a reflection of his son Tucker, who lost his battle to cancer 28 months ago. And it is Tucker Out Lymphoma Night here at KeyBank Center, and a very emotional pregame ceremony out on the turf, and a message by Sean, and then the family out there, and then the Bandits as a team rallied around the family at the face-off circle at center, and then Elena Williams singing the Canadian national anthem. 4-1 Georgia here in the first. Action down to the Bandits zone. Cosmo coming up with a nice save, but the Bandits trying to strike something up here to get back into this game. A couple of power play goals for Georgia. Headlining the first quarter. Here's Anthony Malcolm. Double teamed on the play. Retracts back over to the left point. Deep into the corner to Mark Stainhouse. He twirls back out from the slot area. Right wing side over to Ryan Manesh. He twirls away. Coming in close. Needs a pick or two. Here's Manesh with a low drive. Poulin with the save, and the rebound picked up by Georgia, and they push back out to midfield. 2:16 remaining here in the first. 4-1 Georgia. Rochester leading New England 2-1 with 6:52 left in the first quarter of play. Later tonight, a 9:30 face-off in Saskatoon, with Toronto facing the Rush. Oh my gosh, another penalty coming up against Buffalo as Poulin goes to the bench. The extra attacker is out. The ball is collected by the Bandits, and another penalty coming up against Buffalo in the third power play for Georgia.
Yeah, that's going to be a cross check on Steve Priolo that was a little bit off ball. And he's going to serve two in the box here at the KeyBank Center.
David Brock going to the penalty box.
Check that, 23-13. Georgia Swarm going to go on their third power play of the evening. They've only taken 2 shots on their first 2 power plays, resulting in 2 goals. Randy Stotts and Miles Thompson.
Do they need any more? They go to work down into the Buffalo zone. Ball goes high against the netting. Picked up by Georgia. They'll reset their power play at the top of the slot, working it from Lyle Thompson. Feed pass goes wide. Rebound along the near boards, over the glass and into the crowd. Ball Georgia. 4-1 Swarm here in the first quarter of play. 1:25 remaining. 1:30 left in the penalty. To David Brock. Georgia with their power play. Top of the slot. Lyle Thompson to the near side. Go to Randy Stotts with 2 so far tonight. Far side pass shot over the crossbar. Rebound Georgia. 10 to shoot from the top of the slot. Quick stick shot. Miles Thompson stopped by Cosmo. Rebound picked up by Georgia, resetting the shot clock. Under a minute to play here in the first. Georgia leading it 4-1. They're looking to make it 5 with the power play. Stotts, quick stick shot by Jackson. Turned aside by Cosmo, sealing that left post. From the far side, now to the top of the slot is Lyle Thompson, right side of the Buffalo net, and Anthony Cosmo misplaced the ball. Brunell is there and leaves it to Nick Weiss with a long pass. It's intercepted by Georgia and returned right back to midfield, but picked off by Mitch DeSnoo, finding a loose ball. 23 seconds left to play here in the first quarter. 4-1 Georgia. 25 seconds left in the penalty to David Brock. Outside the line is Anthony Malcolm. watching the clock as well. He goes across the lane, shoots in, scores! How about that by Anthony Malcolm? Short-handed Buffalo.
Yeah, kind of unexpected. I think Poulin took his eyes off the ball there a little bit. The Bandits just killing some clock. Anthony Malcolm just down that right-hand alley and goes short side on Poulin. Just a bad angle by Poulin. Malcolm goes high to low. And a little breath of fresh air with 9.2 seconds left. In this first quarter, Buffalo back within 2.
6 goals in his last 4 games. Anthony Malcolm saw something down on the field that was wide open on a shorthanded situation. And Buffalo gets its second goal of the night, 4-2 Georgia. 5 seconds remaining in quarter number 1. Mark Stainhouse, long shot right side of Poulin. And the quarter will end with Georgia hanging on to a 4-2 lead. Shots on goal 17-11, favoring Georgia. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
If you're a player looking for a lightweight head that delivers power and control, string up the Under Armour Command Low.
He's got Digby on the take, scores!
Now back over to Dane Smith with a shot, hit the goal post inside, he scores!
Afraid you might miss out on the big stories from your favorite team? Well, not to fear, the NLL newsletter is here. All you have to do is subscribe to the new NLL newsletter, and you'll get weekly updates from everything that is happening around the league. What are you waiting for? Subscribe today.
Randy Stotts on the power play at 5:28 of the first quarter from Lyle Thompson and Shane Jackson. Kyle Matisse from Lyle Thompson and Johnny Pallas at 6:28. Georgia makes it 3-0 at the 9-minute mark with Randy Stotts from Kyle Matisse and Shane Jackson. Miles Thompson on the power play from Randy Stotts and Lyle Thompson at 10:24. And then Ryan Benesh breaks the goose egg off the scoreboard for Buffalo. Mitch Jones, Mark Stainhouse with the assist. Anthony Malcolm shorthanded from Mitch Jones and Mitch Desnu at 14:50. Randy, other numbers of this game so far.
Yeah, the Swarm out shooting the Buffalo Bandits 17-11. Cosmo with 13 saves. Poulin with 9. The loose ball competition, 28 Georgia Swarm, 19 the Buffalo Bandits. 2 for 3 on the power play. There's still a little bit left here on this power play for the Georgia Swarm. Buffalo hasn't yet to see a power play opportunity, and the Bandits 4 for 7 on the faceoff.
What a clean draw by Tim Edwards, bringing the ball all the way down into the Georgia zone as we open up the second quarter of play tonight from the KeyBank Center in downtown Buffalo. Georgia with a 4-2 lead, but Buffalo shorthanded, getting a shot away. Poulin with the save. The rebound picked up by Buffalo, resetting the shot clock and getting the ball back outside. We're back to 5-on-5 lacrosse after the shorthanded goal scored by Anthony Malcolm. He's got the ball from the left point. Right wing pass over to Ryan Benesh, who trots over from the slot area, taking the shot. Poulin with a scissor save. And the veteran netminder getting the outlet pass down the right wing lane. Over to Ethan O'Connor. Shot straight on, saved Cosmo, rebound Buffalo, and here comes Steve Prialdo, the acting captain of the Bandits. Prialdo in over the line. Back over to Alexander Quito Hill, back to Prialdo. Shot goes wide. Rebound picked up by Georgia, and here they come back out at midfield, storming across the restraining line of Buffalo. Now to the near side, tic-tac-toe, score! Georgia can't stop that.
Yeah, that's transition. They beat it. The Bandits back up and down the floor. I'm not so sure Georgia didn't have too many men on there. The official did not see it. And a Swarm peeled back to the bench. But that being said, Down the floor very quick. It's a quick 4-on-3. 1 pass, 2 pass. Into the short side or potentially between the legs on Cosmo. And the Swarm established a 3-goal lead.
5-2 Swarm here in the second quarter of play. 13:52 remaining. Translated in 40 languages worldwide. Game of the week on Twitter. It's great to have you with us. Hope you're enjoying the game. If you're watching it for the first time, 200 by 85 feet is the surface, just like a hockey rink. 5 players aside. They do play defense and offense, and there's transition. Penalties in the game, yes, minors and majors. You've got 30 seconds to shoot the ball. You've got 8 seconds to get it out at midfield. And here come the Swarm down into Buffalo's offensive zone. If you can see the red lights behind the goaltenders and the numbers counting, that's time remaining on the shot clock. Georgia in yellow. Buffalo with their Tucker Out Lymphoma uniforms tonight. Bandits across the side, a la New York Rangers. And they're black and orange. Jackson double teamed on the plate, jarring the ball free, and Buffalo collects it in a bad dash for the Bandits out at midfield. It's Mitch Desnew looking. Far side over to Mitch Jones, top of the slot. Jones should have taken a shot, but leaves the ball back over to the left point to Mark Stainhouse. Stainhouse now from left. Plenty of time to shoot. Aaron pass. Couldn't make the connection. Jones hanging onto the ball with his right hand. Now goes to the left hand. The left wing pass over to Mark Stainhouse. Stainhouse. Far side pass into traffic, picked up by Georgia. They intercept the ball and storm back out to midfield, leading this game 5-2. End of the line, they go deep from the far Buffalo corner. Ed Cuomo, the head coach of Georgia, will change things up and put his offensive firepower out there. Randy Stotts with a couple of goals. Here's Jordan Hall, great playmaker that he is, hanging on to the ball, looking for time and space, getting a couple of swats from Steve Priolo. Elects to go back over to Randy Stotts, who got a shot just with little time left on the shot clock. And the outlet pass goes to, or from, Anthony Cosmo down the left wing side over to Steve Priolo. He'll log a lot of minutes tonight, Randy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have to play a ton of D. The guy that's got to make sure he's got all his matchups and lead that defense.
Alexander Quito Hill letting a shot go wide of the net. It goes over the glass and into the crowd. Georgia's ball. They lead it 5-2. Shots on goal, 19-13. Talked about Twitter Game of the Week. Great to have you with us, our new viewers, and also on NLLTV.com. And to our radio listeners tonight on ESPN 1520. And to our affiliate down in Salamanca, all of the folks, hello, WGWE. Here's Ryan Manetch with a breakaway. Shooting, it scores! That's David Brock. He looked like Ryan Manetch.
He certainly did. The Buffalo Bandit transition. That's a quick headman pass. Brock goes. It's a 2-on-1. Jason Noble, the defender, decides to pick up Mitch Jones, leaving Brock a clear lane. Poulin coming out to take off the angle. Brock, high stick. And Poulin dips. And Brock goes over top to the left shoulder. And Buffalo back within 2.
5-3 Georgia. Second quarter of play. 11 minutes and 19 seconds remaining. Draw again. Tim Edwards very strong, bringing the ball right down into Georgia's zone. He's got it outside the restraining line. Looking for the complete change as Buffalo gets themselves all coordinated. And now Anthony Malcolm with the ball. Top of the slot over is Mitch Jones. Jones, far side. There's a shot on by Saunders. That goes over the glass and into the crowd. It's Georgia's ball. Much to the negotiation by Saunders, thinking it was Buffalo's ball. But here come the Swarm, leading it 5-3, quarter number 2. End of the line, Jordan McIntosh leaving it back to the top of the slot to Jordan Hall. Far side pass. Looking for a pick, but a shot goes straight on as he just went in and out of traffic. Lyle Thompson, as he does so well, not only the box game, but the field game as well.
Oh, absolutely one of the best lacrosse players in the world today, Johnny. He's got all the moves, he's got all the vision, he's got range. But Anthony Cosmo had the best of them that time.
Pat Saunders with the ball, tipping it over to Mark Stainhouse. Near side pass over to Alexander Quito Hill. Far side pass, quick stick shot to the left side. Poulin trickles to the near boards now. Picked up by the Swarm and cleared back out. Buffalo trying to make a quick transition out. Stainhouse remains out there. Andrew Watt and Steve Priolo join in as Nick Weiss looks after the ball from the slot area. A right wing pass over to Johnny Pallas. He dekes away. Far side pass picked up by the Swarm. Try to feed it out in front. Andy Stotts goes back for the ball from the far corner. Inches back out. Scores! Top shelf, Randy Stotts.
Oh, that's picking corners. Anthony Cosmo wants that one back. That's the hat trick for Stotts. Just comes over out of the corner. No pressure by Nick Weiss. And it's just a high heater to the top right corner. I don't think you pick him like that, Johnny. That's just a phenomenal shot by Stotts.
How did he know that Cosmo was going to go down?
You know what? I don't know. He just seen
a shot.
Seen that little bit of a space, putting it in that 4x4 inch, little diameter, little square, and man, he nailed it.
Missed 4 games this season in a month of action, and back to the just full stride right now, as we had mentioned coming into this evening's game. 36 points in his last 5. Had 6 assists last Saturday night. He's got 3 tonight, and leading his club now 6-3 here in quarter number 2. 9:28 remaining. Buffalo looking to get that ball out at midfield. Good check. And over and back charge, but when we come back, Buffalo will have the ball. From downtown Buffalo, the KeyBank Center. Georgia 6, Buffalo 3. This is Bandits Lacrosse. All your Bandit merchandise coming up for Fan Appreciation Night, which is a week from tonight as the Toronto Rock come to town. You can do it by shopping the Sabres store, open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. John Gertler, Randy Mearns with you this evening from the Ted Darling Memorial Press Box, KeyBank Center. Nick Lozanowski, our producer. Barry McClelland, our producer on NLL TV and Twitter. Scott Fleetwood, our director tonight. And Buffalo will have the ball out at midfield, and Georgia leads this one 6-3.
I think Buffalo, they just got to continue to, chip away at this. They're in this game. Cosmo's making saves. They got to stay out of the box. They got to continue to generate some offense here.
Anthony Malcolm with a shot that goes wide right of Poulin. Rebound is picked up by Georgia. They got some lucky bounces, and here they come storming across the line. Shooting it, saved. Cosmo rebound, Buffalo. Ryan Benesh had it, but he was hit hard. Buffalo swiping the ball back out, but hang on. We've got a difference of opinion out there, an illegal pick or a technical foul.
Yeah, technical foul. I think it's an interference, illegal pick. On the loose ball, Swarm regains possession.
They've got it. Jordan Hall out in front. High side, far side, near side. Shot by Kyle Matisse wide. Rebound Buffalo. It's Ryan Benesh doing his job defensively, getting the ball out of his own zone. An errant pass and playing along the boards is Nick Weiss. Into the line he goes. Weiss got some room to shoot. So does Priolo, taking a shot. Splitting save by Poulin. Rebound with his outlet pass. Back over to Jordan McIntosh. Won 18 draws last Saturday night against Timmy Edwards. Into the line. McIntosh goes to the near corner. Takes a pretty good bump from David Brock. Brock in pursuit. Back behind the net. McIntosh hanging onto the ball, reverses position, looked to take a shot, but then he's hit hard in the crease area. And Buffalo gathers the ball as David Brock, who has scored in tonight's game, getting the ball back out to Adam Will. In over the line goes Will, top of the slot to Brunel, to Will with a shot, hit the goal post! Right behind Poulin. Rebound back behind the end boards down in the Georgia zone. Jones digging it out, hanging on to that ball. 13 to shoot. Alexander Kido with the ball from the left point. Trots outside the line. Yeah, the shot clock is reset. Mark Stainhouse. Feed pass out in front. Tried to get Alexander Kido-Hill, but Stainhouse had a nice opportunity to take a hard shot. That connection was not made. And Randy, that's something that's been hampering Buffalo for a handful of games. They just cannot connect on those shots.
Yeah, they're both.
And passes.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 inches off. You know, they just got to continue to, grind through that, get that feel, but they're just missing. And unlike that, the Bandits, Kyle Matisse comes over a hard pick by Ronnie Stotts. And just goes sidearm bounce, I believe, to the far side of Cosmo to reestablish that 4-goal lead they had at the beginning of the game. Great shot by Matisse.
Freelancing, freestyling, use what you want. Georgia does it great. They understand the rudiments of the game. They keep the ball hot all the time. They're not selfish. And they're able to penetrate the offensive zones and the defensive zones very nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the second goal in the game for Matisse. Buffalo's just got to continue to stay focused, chip away. Rochester seems to be doing their job against New England. I believe that would help out the Buffalo Bandits, 6-4.
14:29 left in the second quarter of play down in Rochester. Low drive left side of the Buffalo net, hits the end boards. Swarm have it with 5 to shoot. There's a shot, score!
Wow.
Oh my.
And that's just phenomenal ball movement and quick release. Talk about that, Johnny Palace. It's a laser pass to the inside, and he's catching it, not really looking at it, kind of more on the sidearm. He catches it, and in one motion just drills a heater to the top right corner on Cosmo. And that's a 5-goal lead.
8-3 Georgia, 24-17 in shots from the draw, favoring Buffalo. Tim Edwards gathers it in the webbing of his stick out at midfield. Deking his way, managing to get in a pass to the far side, tipping it over to Saunders, now to the near side, Malcolm. Top of the slot to Mark Stainhouse. Here's Stainhouse deking in, trying to get a shot away, which he does, and Poulin comes up with a big save. Clearing it back out, and here comes Georgia out to midfield. 8-3 Georgia, 6:21 left to play in this second quarter. Shane Jackson with the ball to Matisse. Far into the corner. Deking his way. Lyle Thompson looking. Feed it back out in front. Score!
They just got so many weapons, so many places. You don't know if you got a double. You don't know if you got a triple. Lyle Thompson draws a lot of the traffic. Quick little feed to Miles Thompson. Tries to establish that post position and throws it behind the back that just trickles through the legs of Cosmo. And all the bounces, all the shots are working here for the Georgia Swarm.
Yeah. You can't go to the front side, you go to the back side, over the shoulder. And Georgia now with a 9-3 lead with 6 minutes left to play here in this second quarter. Buffalo with the ball. In over the line is Reardon. Top of the slot goes to Dave Brock. He's looking for it, tipping it back over to Alexander Kido-Hill. Brock will retreat over to the bench, and here comes Buffalo's offense led by Mitch Jones. Jones, feed pass out in front to Reardon with a shot, pulling with a save. Rebound picked up by Georgia, and here they come back out at midfield. Tried to feed the ball back over to Brian Cole, the rookie out of Maryland. Scored last Saturday night. Steve Priolo is there, turning on the burners in pursuit of the ball. There's Alexander Krepensek. And back out to midfield. Nick Weiss will clear it over to Ryan Manesh out in front. Shot by Malcolm. Save Poulin. Rebound Georgia. And they've got it down the left wing line is John Rannigan, who had 1 goal, 1 assist last Saturday night with the ball. Big defenseman cut by New England and picked up by Georgia. 25-20 in shots favoring the Swarm. They lead it 9-3. in over the line, score!
And that's the first goal for Lyle Thompson. He's the last guy out the front door. He doesn't always have to be the first guy. They kick it, and he just crow hops into a laser high to high over the left shoulder of Cosmo.
10-3 Georgia, and it looks like the big fish will be coming out and relieving the duties of Anthony Cosmo. They're striking from all distances and just the smallest of ratios of openings. And Cosmo being pulled here at this point of the game with 5 minutes, 1 second remaining. Georgia leading at 10-3. The big fish, David DeRusio, goes between the pipes. .753 save percentage, a 1-6 record. Made 28 saves before he got the hook last Saturday night in Georgia. And here we go with the ball. Head coach Troy Cordingley trying to shake the bench up a little bit. Obviously, the Cosmo was not seeing the ball or the nifty goal scoring of Georgia. They just come on strong here in the second quarter of play, leading at 10-3. And a penalty coming up against Georgia with the ball carried by Saunders. Top of the slot, back behind the net is Benesh from Keto Hill. Now Stainhouse scores! Whose house? Stainhouse with the extra attacker.
Needed that in a big way. Good ball movement. Stainhouse just posts up high. Double guys cut, but the ball's behind the net. He's just left all alone. And I'm not so sure Poulin didn't get screened on the rotation out. But Stainhouse, regardless, bangs it to the left of Poulin. And the Bandits are back within 6.
So the Bandits find net on their 21st shot on goal to the Swarm's 26. And a big mountain to climb for Buffalo, but they've got plenty of time to do it. 4:25 remaining here in the second quarter. From the draw, won by Buffalo, left to the near side over to Brunel, who clears it back outside to midfield. To Keto Hill, directs traffic now, tipping it back over to Malcolm. Far side pass to Blaze Reardon, looking for an opening, takes the shot. Poulin with a splitting save to the left side of the veteran goaltender. And he'll make the outlet pass down the right wing lane over to Brian Cole. 4 goals coming into this evening's game for Brian Cole as the ball is left down into the far corner, now to the left point. Shot on Matisse, rebound as the Fish made a save. Cleared back to the near boards, the far boards that is. And Friolo gets a wild pass back out to midfield, but picked up by Buffalo. And here comes Nick Weiss in over the line. Weiss now to the near side over to Alexander Keto Hill. Another penalty coming up against the Swarm. They lead it 10-4 here in the second quarter of play. The extra attacker is out. Stainhouse, right wing pass over to Benesh. To Jones from the far corner. Back behind the net to Keto Hill. Could not play the ball. And the play stops with 3 minutes and 15 seconds left. Quarter number 2, 10-4 Georgia. This is Bandits lacrosse. Oh.
on 5, but it's going to be Buffalo ball.
Saunders with the ball, tipping it back over to Ryan Benesh, who finds an open Mitch Jones. He's double-teamed on the play. Jones gets rid of it to the left side over to Mark Stainhouse, deking his way in close. Lost control of the ball in the webbing of the stick, and it's picked up by Poulin. Lucky breaks here for Georgia tonight, leading at 10-4 with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left. And a bouncing ball, Joel White leaving it out to Jordan Hall, who fires it back over to the far side, down in the Buffalo zone. Lyle Thompson goes to work, trying to set up a shot for Jordan, or Steve Jackson, that is. Thompson now from the left point, looking, double-teamed on the play, eludes a check, loses the ball, and it's picked up by Saunders. Leaves it back out at midfield, and Pat Saunders comes up with the ball. He's got Brunell with him at left. Saunders taking a shot to the right side of Poulin. Tighten those strings, son. Rebound, Stainhouse from the far boards. Getting checked on the play, but Stainhouse, very strong in low center of gravity, has the ball across the line. Here's Jones with a shot. That's blocked into traffic. Mitch Blyle getting in the way of that one. Jones getting his own rebound. 5 to shoot for Buffalo. Jones from behind the net. Trying to thread the needle to the top of the slot to a running Anthony Malcolm. Malcolm comes back for it. No time left on the shot clock, and Buffalo's got to retreat, and here comes Buffalo's defense as the potent offense for Georgia storms back out at middle and sets up down in the Bandit zone, leading at 10-4 with 1:50 left to play in the second quarter. The end of the line. It's Johnny Palace, far side pass. Collected by Lyle Thompson. Out in front to Matisse, couldn't hang on to it, but he's backed up nicely by Shane Jackson. Shooting the ball, scores!
Yeah, they can call that a good goal. Bad angle by the Buffalo Bandit defender. And Shane Jackson just gives a jab step, goes back underneath, and he's going to go airborne here, Johnny. And up over top of the right shoulder of DeRocio. That's going to be a good goal. And then he finally lands into the crease. And they're just coming from everywhere.
28-22 in shots, 11-4 Georgia. Everybody knew coming through the turnstiles tonight, Buffalo needed the win of the worst way in order to stay alive and qualify for the playoffs. A loss tonight would eliminate them for the 2017 Champions Cup. Hard to believe. After this club last year posting the best record in the NLL, home field advantage throughout, and going to the NLL finals, losing it 2 games to none to Saskatchewan, and this year just stumbling, fumbling, and looking for their identity and trying to trust each other and just trying to get back in every game, which Kevin Brunell is doing right now, trying to get his club back into this game. Stainhouse goes back over to Malcolm. Now tipping it over to Ryan Benesh. Under a minute to play here in the first half. Benesh looking. Taking a shot, he scores! How about that for Ryan Benesh?
Number 2 on the night for 17. He takes a little bit of time, just utilizing the post, utilizing the screen. Kind of a high fake. Getting Poulin off his line, he just goes high to low, far's pipe. Great shot by Benesh.
29th of the season for Ryan Benesh. And giving his club a little bit of enthusiasm with 43.4 seconds remaining and time ticking down. Scramble for the draw, finding Georgia with the ball, taking a shot. Pooh! As the Fish makes the save. The rebound picked up by Buffalo and a breakout out at middle. Carried by the Bandits, in over the line. Right wing pass over to Benesh. He's got the hot stick tonight. 23 seconds left. Maybe the Fish should come out of his net, get the extra attacker. There's a shot, hit the crossbar behind Poulin. And the rebound picked up by Georgia. And hang on, we'll have a timeout, a possession timeout called by Georgia with 13.9 seconds and leading this game 11-5.
Yeah, it was kind of tough for Coach Cordingley to call the timeout. Buffalo had gotten possession with about 36 seconds left. So even if they would have pulled out the big fish, right, there's still 6 seconds on the shot clock if Buffalo wasn't able to get a shot. And so you kind of felt that the Swarm were going to actually potentially get the ball back. Unfortunately, a little bit quicker than they wanted to. The Swarm regains possession now. Eddie Como, because it's under the 30-second shot clock time frame with only 13.9 seconds left in this second quarter. Eddie Como wisely calls the timeout. They'll take this last shot, Poulin will be out of the net, and it'll be a big 6-on-5 opportunity for the Swarm.
Randy Ladouceur over at the Swarm bench designing a play. Ed Cuomo standing behind and looking on. Sean Ferris, the other assistant coach, wanted me to say hello to you.
Oh, China.
Yeah.
He's a beauty.
He's a beauty. Back behind the bench for the Georgia Swarm, Ed Cuomo. Boy, did a great job with the Titans way back when they were in the. Cuomo did a nice job putting those Titans together.
Absolutely.
Back to action. 5 seconds remaining. Swarm trying to thread the needle. Buffalo picking it up at Steve Priolo. Long pass to the left side of the Georgia net. And that's going to do it for the first half of play. The general manager of the Bandits, Steve Dietrich, will join us. As we go to halftime, we'll also have stats and highlights. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
Pro lacrosse teams are now fielded in Philadelphia, Boston, New York, Maryland, Montreal, and Quebec.
Yesterday there was friendly competition and not so friendly competition. We knew our true colors weren't just worn on our backs, they were painted on our faces and hoisted as high in the air as we could possibly carry them. Whatever it took to claim our turf. Yesterday, we left it all out there. Blood, sweat, tears. You name it, we left it. We kept ourselves focused and we kept each other in check. And the only thing we took were epic shots. Yesterday, we saw more twists and turns in 8 seconds than most people saw in an entire season. We lost the ball, lost our minds. We lost countless times in every game. If you could see the ball, that was a slow day. Yesterday, physics didn't apply to us. Gravity wasn't welcome in our box. Armed with just a stick and a ball, we took flight. Yesterday, we were the best we could be. Today is our day.
When it comes to style, swagger, and celebrations, there's one player in this league who has it down to an art. I got the chance to catch up with Mark Stainhouse of the Buffalo Bandits to see where their signature style developed. I met Mark about 5 years ago, and I've got to say, he's a tough guy to forget. There are few in the game who are better with fans and the media. And if we're talking style points, I'm not sure how Stainhouse could acquire more. His pockets are full. Let's break down one of the league's most recognizable players from top to bottom in a segment we'll call Stainhouse Style. We'll start with the hair, which has caught on with fans and can now be requested at local barbershops.
Coming here in Buffalo, my first year in Buff, the hair was at a decent length and it started catching on, and it was kind of poofy at the time because it wasn't too long yet. So it was kind of a bit like an afro, and then they started selling the orange afros, and it kind of became, I guess, a little bit of a staple, you could say, right? So I started rocking their hair and people were liking it, so, you know, it's kind of been a trademark since.
Okay, moving on. Every player's got their favorite celebration, but there's one that's arguably the best in the league.
It's the Bernie Lean. It's from the old kind of historic movie, Weekend at Bernie. But you know what? The kids were watching YouTube or something one night, and the one guy from Oakland Raiders used to do a Coco Chris. And you know what? It just caught fire in the household, and we were all in the basement, and I was laughing. I was videotaping them, and they're all doing the Bernie Lean, and they're like, "You should do that in the game, Dad. You should do it." And I was like, "Yeah, you want me to do it?" So I was like, "All right, you know what? I'll do it." And then yeah, it's kind of caught on. Sometimes you feel weird. You don't want to do it too often. Like, you don't want to necessarily rub it in for the teams. But you know what? We are here to please the fans, and they seem like they enjoy it. And every time I think like I'm going to put it away or something comes up where, you know, a kid will come up and be like, "Oh, I love that move." And I'm like, you know what? I'm just keeping it.
Next, the shoes. Stainhouse always has the flashiest kicks.
Randy Frazier was on the team, and he came in with this movie like before East Bay blew up, you know what I mean? It became like the place to go to get shoes. No one really knew about it, and I was Canadian. He was from the States, so he kind of had a better understanding of it, and he brought this catalog, and we've never seen anything like it. At this point, we're like, man, you can get all this stuff from this store? Like, you know what I mean? We were blown away. So we started flipping through, and he's like, you got to get these shoes, and they're like an old pair of Dadas, like I'm talking all plastic, so uncomfortable. I'm like, you think so? You think so? He's like, yeah. So he kind of coasted me in, and I grabbed them, and then they just blew up here in Buff, and ever since, you got to rock the orange now.
And then there's the classic in-arena call. Yep, you know which one I'm talking about.
Whose house? Stainhouse.
But when it comes to that one, he'll admit he gets by with a little help from his fans.
Oh, it's great. I mean, these fans are amazing. I mean, my time here has been special, and I mean, obviously to have a cheer where you're hearing your name throughout, you know, arena with 19,000 people. I mean, who would not like that, right? So I can't sit here and say that, you know, I don't like it. It feels great. Plus, it always happens after you score too, right? So normally you're doing something good. So it's great. I think you got to give the credit to our announcer for that one, kind of making that one and getting it popular, and then obviously our fans for, you know, making me feel special every game.
And to top it all off, in 2008, he won a Champions Cup where he was named Champions Cup MVP and holds the single game record for points with 17. You just got a lesson in Stainhouse style.
In Georgia, the Swarm have locked up first place in the East Division, and they set a bunch of other franchise records along the way. So what has been the key to success in the 2017 season? Well, we caught up with some of the teammates to find out more.
As also does Mike Poole, and the Swarm will try to take advantage here. Here is Stotts, flips it over to Powell, shot, score! Set things up offensively as Thompson is waiting, spinning, moving towards the net, shot, score!
Honestly, I've been in the league for 9 years, I think now, and this is you don't have one guy that I think is worried about their stats. Everybody comes in. If you had 5 goals and it's a loss, it's a loss. So I think they did a great job building the team around guys like that.
And here's Palace, gives it over to Jackson, shoots it, scores!
Franchise record 11 wins this season.
And a score! And there it is!
Franchise tie of 21 goals scored twice, and a first place finish in the East Division.
Lyle Thompson, shot, score! Cross to his brother, Jordan Hall in the middle, shot, score!
There's no denying the Georgia Swarm are one of the hottest teams in the league, but what has been the key to their success?
We celebrate, everyone celebrates together. When, we score a goal, the whole team scores a goal, and I think that really permeates through the organization, and that's the atmosphere we really wanted to create.
It's funny because, most teams I've played on, this one's different because, after a goal, you just don't see a high five or that. You see hugs, everyone's smiling, and, that's just the chemistry that we brought this year, and that's what we focused on. So, it's always good to go out there, have a few smiles, and, a couple hugs after a goal.
Yes, this team definitely celebrates with hugs, and a key factor has been having fun throughout the entire process.
With winning, you have fun, and then obviously it's a lot more fun when you love the guys in the locker room. So every time we get out there, we're really, really pumped to play together.
Another factor has been the confidence that they have in their teammates. Despite a team filled with sophomores, there has been no slump, and each player has stepped up.
We got someone in each position who leads, and that's huge, for a young team. We're a young team, but I think we're athletic, we're experienced, and when you have leaders like that, they put us in the right direction and on the right path for us to be successful.
It all comes down to sharing the ball. Every one of us have confidence in the other person beside us, and it's about sharing the ball, and we all can do something with it. So that's what we've been doing and working on.
The Swarm will face off against the Buffalo Bandits in this week's Twitter Game of the Week. You can catch all the action live on Twitter Saturday, April 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. For NLL Productions, I'm Mia Gordon.
Welcome, lacrosse fans. Tyson Geik of NLL Productions here with you right now, and I'm joined by Shay Hewen, CEO and founder of the U-Hawk Camera. We have some exciting news for you today. The NLL has officially partnered with the U-Hawk Camera, the new official action camera of the National Lacrosse League. Shay, an exciting moment, for both parties here.
Yeah, it's an incredible day. It's a big step and a big moment in the history of sports, and for the National Lacrosse League to be the first league to step up and bring actual player point of view, video footage to fans at home in the actual real raw competition in the season. It's a monumental day, and we're very excited to be the official camera provider to be a part of that.
Fans, time for another edition of Versus. Sean Evans going up against Miles Thompson. Champion play is Miles one-handed behind the back shot on the Colorado Mammoth. That one was a no-brainer. It goes up this week against Sean Evans, who cuts inside, takes the behind the back shot, short side on Mike Poulin, and makes no mistake. So fans, who have you got? Sean Evans from the Black Wolves or Miles Thompson from the Georgia Swarm? Head to Twitter now, cast your vote. Now, Mia, I turn it over to you for this week's Unstrung Hero of the Week, a player who may not have chipped in on the score sheet, but contributed to his team's successes in some other ways. So, who have you got?
Well, we heard from him a little bit earlier on in the show, but my unsung hero for this week happens to be Frank Ciliano. It was a must-win situation for the Calgary Roughnecks, and he stepped up big between the pipes for this team. Taking a look at the numbers, 54 shots on goal. He had 46 saves in this game. As you mentioned earlier, this was probably one of his best performances so far this season, and under a pressure situation, he really helped out his team on the back end. He was even named the first star in the game, so that is why Frank Ciliano is my unstrung hero for this week.
KB Buffalo.
Go to the third quarter of play tonight from the KeyBank Center in Buffalo with the Swarm leading at 11-5. Buffalo wins the draw again. Randy, a great draw chores. What about the numbers of tonight's game?
Yeah, the Bandits getting outshot by 7, 31-24 for the Swarm. Cosmo, along with DeRocio, 20 saves. Poulin, 17. The Bandits getting out loose ball, 53-45. The Swarm 2 for 3 on the power play. The Bandits are still 0 for 0. They haven't had a power play opportunity. And Timmy Edwards is 11 for 18 on the faceoff. And Buffalo 8 minutes and penalties to the Swarms too.
Buffalo was a surge there in the opening seconds of the third quarter of play, but they couldn't make the connection or get a shot straight on. Georgia returns the favor with controlling the ball down in the Bandits zone. Third quarter action tonight from the KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York, with the Swarm leading at 11-5. There's a shot straight on DeRocio, who's back between the pipes here for the second half of play. I asked Steve Dietrich whether or not they would play musical goaltenders here in the second half. He said he's not a big fan of that and gave his evaluation of what DeRocio needs to do and said use his girth to his advantage. And if Cosmo comes back in, he's just got to stay close to the ball because of the quick sticks by Georgia being so close. Alexander Quito Hill tried to thread the needle over to Mark Stainhouse, couldn't do it. Poulin getting the ball back out to midfield and cleared by Krepensek to the face-off circle at center. Shift change very quickly for Georgia as they come across the line. Kyle Matisse comes back out, leaves it to the top of the slot. That's carried by Lyle Thompson. He dekes his way, finds an opening, shoots, save. DeRocio. Thompson getting his own rebound. Well, talk about bounces going the way of Georgia. That just jumps right back into their stick.
It just certainly is. And sometimes you say, hey, are you just getting lucky? Do you create your own luck? A twister by Lyle Thompson. It's only going to go one way. DeRocio makes the save off the right pad. Thompson just able to growl the loose ball, get a second opportunity.
Matisse with the shot save. DeRocio. Rebound. Andrew Watt with it for Buffalo out at midfield. Third quarter action. Georgia leading at 11-5. Do or die for the Bandits tonight. They need to win this game in order to stay alive and get some help down the thruway from New England and Rochester game, and then out at Saskatoon with the Rock and Rush. Most importantly, come back and get into this game. 6 goals down. Shot score!
No, they're going to disallow that goal. They're going to say there was an interference call or some form of interference call. We'll check the box right here, Johnny. But there was an illegal pick. They called the penalty on it before the ball went into the net. And you see the referee in the replay already having his hand up, going against Buffalo, and the Swarm going to go on their 4th power play of the evening. They're 2 for 3. Stotts and Miles Thompson have the power play markers.
Scott Fleetwood, our director, said he heard the whistle before the shot being fired by Saunders, and Watt goes to the penalty box, and another power play for Georgia, leading at 11-5 here in the third quarter of play. Lyle Thompson now works from the left point, far side pass over the shoulder feed, quick stick shot, score. Tic-tac-toe, score.
Happens that quick. Tick-tack, tick-tack, behind the back. Shane Jackson on the backside before DeRocio can get to the short side. Ball's already in the net.
Just superb positioning and great stance, and the ball being so hot as it's set up by Paulus and then finished off by Shane Jackson. Another goal tonight for the fine player from Georgia.
And I believe that's going to be challenged. The red flag came out on the turf. Let's see if Shane Jackson maybe has his foot in the crease. This could go. Maybe a break the Buffalo Bandits' way.
Blake could have been on the crease area to the left side of Dave DeRocio. The challenge will stand. So Chris Williams, the crew chief tonight here in Buffalo, confers with his assistant referees of Matt Robinson and Blair Ferguson. And Williams goes to work with all of the replays available to him here at the KeyBank Center. Chris Swinson, the PA announcer for Buffalo, to his left, and now we'll take a look at it on the big jumbotron here at KeyBank Center. And look at the right foot of Shane Jackson, right on the goal line area in the crease of the 9.3 circumference. 9 foot 3 inch circumference, and Jackson just parking himself to the left side of Drusio. And might have had his foot on the paint.
It's so close. You're going to get a good look here, Johnny, on this. That's looking like he's tiptoeing to the tulips to me, Johnny.
A little big toe stepping. Not that he's interfering with anything, but
yeah, the other two views that we had, one was too far away, you really couldn't tell. The other, you're kind of blindsided by his body. It's a bad angle. I think that was these two late views show that right foot. Now, it was called a goal on the field.
Right on the crease here, frame by frame, as Williams will take a look at it. The crew chief tonight stops things here in the third quarter of play. 12-5 Georgia, and Williams calling for more replays. Update down in Rochester at halftime. The Nighthawks with an 8-7 lead over New England. A 9:30 start tonight. Toronto at Saskatchewan, and then a 10 o'clock start. Colorado at Vancouver, and here comes Chris Williams with the signal. Waved off. No goal.
And that's a big break for the Buffalo Bandits. They're still going to be short man here, Johnny. I'm not too sure for how long. But they get the opportunity to kill off a 30. We were talking about breaks in the game, making your own breaks. You know, the ball's, got to bounce your way. It just kind of feels like that's kind of like the first break that the Buffalo Bandits have gotten this entire game. Still a lot of time left. They're down by 6. Goals come in bunches.
Great part about this game, if you joined us on Twitter this evening, watching it for the first time, this is a game of runs. And even though the score being 11-5, a team can get on a run and make it up very quickly. And 6 goals might seem like a huge mountain to climb, but in the game of lacrosse, particularly the box game, a team that can get on a run, well, that's what the Bandits need to put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if they can get something to the net, get 1 or 2 or 3 goals, the good news is they're dominating the face-off. So to create that momentum, Timmy Edwards is having a great night at that face-off X. Odds are they'll get the ball back after any goal here, Johnny.
A minute 27 left in the penalty to Andrew Watt. Check that, Swarm leading at 11-5. Ball out at center, and now here come the Swarm. Randy Stotts with the hat trick tonight, leaving it from the left point, back over deep into the corner, back to the top of the slot. Quarterbacking now is Lyle Thompson. Thompson over the shoulder feed. Stotts with a shot. Ruscio with a nice save.
And yeah, DeRuscio using the girth there. Stotts. A great look at the net off the behind the back pass. DeRuscio just going down, using the body, and corralling that with the left arm.
Alexander Keto Hill hanging on to the ball wisely, letting time tick off on Andrew Watt's call. This is third quarter action with the Swarm leading at 11-5. Mitch Jones double teamed on the play, tries to get rid of the ball, which he does, and now it's picked up by Ethan O'Connor, and they'll clear it out, and here come the Swarm back out at midfield. 20 seconds left in the penalty to Andrew Watt. Third quarter, Georgia 11, Buffalo 5. Into the line from the top of the slot as Lyle Thompson sets up the play. He's got it now from the slot area, looking for an open space. Hangs onto the ball, 9 to shoot. Ball down to the near side. Johnny Pallas down into the corner over to Miles Thompson. 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Tic-tac-toe, left side of Drusio. Rebound Buffalo. Shot clock expires, and the Bandits back to full strength as Andrew Watt raced from the penalty box and shot went wide of Mike Poulin. 34-24 in shots. Third quarter, Swarm leading at 11-5. In over the line. Here they come dashing in. Score! Lyle Thompson, right side, left side. He finds net.
Oh, he's so strong, so agile, so quick on his feet. He's mocked up. He's going to go up over top. There's a double. And then he just slips, changes the rotation of his body, gets underneath. Everybody's trailing him. A couple of little fakes. Goes short side of DeRuscio as he froze him. Great goal by Lyle Thompson.
Great night so far for Lyle Thompson. 16 points coming into this evening's series. And that's in the 2 games played. All-time leading scorer of NCAA Division I lacrosse out of the University of Albany. And with 9:54 remaining, quarter number 3, Georgia 12, Buffalo 5. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
Tyson, I don't know about opportunity.
You know, if we weren't braver than brave, then, you know, Tucker's legacy would just, you know, fade away, and so we can't do that, right?
A phenomenal. Sean Williams before the start of tonight's game, talking about the life of Tucker Williams and the battle with cancer that he had, but unfortunately lost that 28 months ago. And memory tonight and Tucker out lymphoma night. And as we went through the replay and watching the game, we saw Shane Jackson with another shot, finding that, and oh my, the Swarm now with a 13-5 lead.
Yeah, he hedges outside, the feed comes in, able to duck underneath, coming all the way across. You give Shane Jackson that much time, he's going to bury more times than not. And the Swarm have a commanding 8-goal lead.
9:49 remaining, third quarter. Shots on goal, 36-24. Randy, the margin is not that bad from the shot category, and Buffalo just not getting the quality shots that they need, nor the bounces that they can try to get a shot closer to Poulin.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, just the individual talent, the stick work of these guys, you don't know where they're coming from. They can come from all angles. And just like there, Randy Stotts, I believe that's his 4th of the game, right? Do we double him? Do we shade? Do we help? And all of a sudden, just a burst of speed gets up underneath. And before he steps in the crease, he just goes high side over the left shoulder of DeRosio. And now it's a 9-goal margin.
9 seconds between the goals scored by Georgia. Talk about a game of runs. They're on one right now. 14-5 favoring Georgia. Boo Birds are starting to come out here at the KeyBank Center. As the Bandits get out with their offense, and led by Alexander Quito Hill in over the line, looking to get a shot away. Saunders with the ball from the slot area, now twirls, taking a shot to the right side of Poulin. That's off, rebound Buffalo. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Malcolm, top of the slot. There's Quito Hill with a shot to the left side of Poulin. No time left on the shot clock, so the ball was left down to the near Georgia corner. And here come the Swarm.
Yeah, the defense for the Swarm. Well, they're swarming, Johnny. Buffalo's taking shots when they're fading away, or they're trying to shoot through screens from way, way far out, making it easy on Poulin.
Win tonight for Georgia will give them first overall of the National Lacrosse League and home advantage throughout of the 2017 playoffs. They claimed the Eastern Division title last week. And they're working on their offense right now, getting some nifty passing. Matisse couldn't get the shot away. Buffalo's got the ball, and they'll push it back out to midfield. Ball is lost by Steve Priolo. And then they'll have a technical foul, so it'll be Buffalo's ball. Here's their chance here in the third quarter. 14-5. Georgia, right wing pass over to Blaze Reardon. He's deking his way, top of the slot, back over to Keto Hill. Now Ryan Manesh. Manesh hanging on to the ball. Plenty of time to shoot. Buffalo sets up the play. Anthony Malcolm firing the ball back into traffic area, but it's swept away by Georgia's defense. And here they come with a quick transition. Storming in over the line. Shooting it. Score.
That's Jason Noble. The former Cornell product. Just busting up the floor. 4 Bandits go to the bench. It's a quick 2-on-1. No rotation to Noble. He just comes flying down, goes high to low, through the pads of DeRocio. And they're tripled up on the Bandits right now, Johnny. 15-5.
Georgia next week will be home for their fan appreciation night. Rochester comes to town Saturday night. You can get your tickets by going to Georgia's website and take a trip out to Duluth, Georgia, the beautiful Infinite Center, and enjoy this indoor game of lacrosse. You got a fine team, Georgia. You should support it. In over the line, Keto Hill. Saunders with a shot, goes wide. Rebound Buffalo, resetting the shot clock, so Keto Hill gets everybody into position. Outside the restraining line is Mitch Jones. Jones into traffic, leaving it back over to Keto Hill. Shooting it. Save. Poulin on the left side. And he'll outlet the ball back over to Ethan O'Connor. Practically perfect tonight for the Georgia Swarm, leading this one 15-5 in quarter number 3 with 7 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. Miles Thompson leaving the ball to the far side. Now back over to Kyle Matisse. A penalty coming up against Buffalo. Loose helmet on the turf. In over the line is Lyle Thompson, extra attacker. Shot goes wide. Rebound picked up by Buffalo. And another penalty coming up against the Bandits.
We'll see who that's against. There was a helmet that went flying off of Miles Thompson.
Nick Weiss.
And Nick Weiss is not happy. He's given the referees his thought process, let's just say, if you will. And the Swarm going to go on their 5th power play of the evening. 3 for 4. Oh, excuse me, check that. Scotty Fleetwood has corrected me. 2 for 4 on 7 shots.
Relax, Scotty. It's okay.
That's why he's the best stat guy in the loop.
Yep.
Appreciate it, Scotty. Appreciate you.
Nick Weiss into the penalty box here in the third quarter of play. Top of the slot is Lyle Thompson. Down deep in the corner to Miles. Now Johnny Palvis. Top of the slot now. Thompson with a shot. Saved DeRussio. Rebound picked up by the Swarm. Shot to the far side over the shoulder feet. Tic-tac-toe. DeRussio got a piece of that one as the net goes off its mooring, and play continues, and the ball picked up by the Bandits and cleared out. They scored a shorthanded goal in this game so far. Pass intended for Steve Priolo, but it's intercepted by Lyle Thompson. And he'll shut things down while the extra attacker is out now on this power play for Georgia with 1:10 left in the call to Nick Weiss. Quick passing, shot goes over the crossbar, rebound back out at midfield, save the over and back charge. Jordan Hall back into Buffalo territory, left side of DeRussio, now behind the net. Top of the slot, over the shoulder feed, looking, save DeRussio. Rebound, Buffalo scrambling for the ball. They're just looking at the ball and finally get on it and come up with it. 45 seconds left in the penalty to Nick Weiss. Buffalo short-handed. Anthony Malcolm deking his way. Back over to Ryan Manesh. He'll hang on to the ball. Field wide over to Mark Stainhouse. In over the line, Stainhouse goes. Deking, coming in close. Double teamed on the play. Still hanging on to it. Lost his helmet.
Oh, no call there. And the fans do not like that.
10 seconds left in the penalty to Nick Weiss. No call on the Bandits. Here's Lyle Thompson. Shot on. Wide by Stotts. Rebound, Georgia. 7 seconds to shoot on the shot clock. Buffalo back to full strength. Score, Georgia.
And that's not going to count as a power play goal as Nick Weiss came out of the penalty box. But Johnny Pallas, a little sidearm, early bounce, top cheese. What a great shot to the far side, beating DeRocha to the right hand.
Well, Mark Stainhouse had his head knocked around, and then finally his skid lid comes off. There's no penalty on the play, and Georgia takes the ball back out and scores, and now they've got a 16-5 lead. 42-26 now in shots favoring Georgia. This is third quarter, 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Pressure on by Buffalo. Now a little bit extracurricular activity going on between two players well behind. And Mitch Desnew wants to challenge one of the Georgia players. And of course the referees are there saying this is not a hitting league, folks. Connor Sellers and Mitch Desnew will be going to the penalty box for being bad boys out on the turf. And we'll take this time out. 4:34 remaining quarter three, 16-5 Georgia. This is Bandits lacrosse.
He's got Digby on the take, scores.
Now back over to Dane Smith with a shot. Hit the goal post inside, he scores!
Afraid you might miss out on the big stories from your favorite team? Well, not to fear, the NLL newsletter is here. All you have to do is subscribe to the new NLL newsletter, and you'll get weekly updates from everything that is happening around the league. What are you waiting for? Subscribe today.
If you're a player looking for a lightweight head that delivers power and control, string up the Under Armour Command Low.
.6:30 left to play in the third quarter down the thruway. 11-8. That's what I said. Lyle Thompson with the ball. Now back over to Kyle Matisse. Matisse with it from the left point. A right wing pass over to Shane Jackson. Back over to Matisse. Tried to sidewind it. Went wide. Rebound Buffalo. Good pressure on by Georgia. That's one thing that they do exceptionally well. Randy's hold Buffalo's transition off. Now making the transition over the line. Shot wide by Nick Weiss. Rebound Buffalo. Near side is Mitch Jones. Trying to get in close. Jones one hands the pass to who? Nobody. Left it down into the far Georgia corner and cleared out by the Swarm. A left wing pass down the left wing boards. Brian Cole. Leaves it back now. In over the line goes Randy Stotts. He takes a shot to the right side of Dave DeRussio. High ball. Bounces on the turf. Picked up by Georgia. Quick pass. Back over to Matisse, who powers his big frame in front. Takes a one-arm shot over the crossbar. And Buffalo picks up the ball and clears it back out. Kevin Brunell is there. Mitch Jones leaving it back out from midfield. Giving it back to Matthew Bennett. Blaze Reardon in on this play along with Mark Stainhouse. Here's Ryan Benesh from the top of the slot. Looking, far side pass over to Alexander Quito Hill. Reardon with a low drive, just glazing the right side of the Swarm net. And ball goes to Georgia. Technical foul, I didn't see it, Randy.
No, the ball went actually off the shot into the Georgia Swarm bench. Last off of Buffalo, going to be Georgia ball.
Third quarter action, 16-5 Georgia, 2:51 remaining. Bandits hosting Toronto next week here at KeyBank Center for a 7:30 face-off time. Kyle Matisse leaving the ball far side. Quick stick shot stopped by DeRusio. He'll gather it in the webbing of his stick, pop it back out, and pressure on, Randy. This is what they do. Lyle Thompson leaving the pressure up. Trying to hold off the Bandits getting across that center line in 8 seconds, which Nick Weiss does, and leaves it over to Ryan Manesh. Or check that, Pat Saunders. Saunders with a laser pass to a running Alexander Keto Hill. Weiss stays a part of the rush. Hangs onto the ball from behind the net. Tipping it back over to Malcolm. Now back to Keto Hill. Saunders shooting it. Save Poulin. Rebound. Far boards picked up by Weiss. Doing a nice job on this rush for Buffalo. Resetting the shot clock. Weiss tipping it back out to Malcolm. Malcolm over to Saunders. Looking. Trying to get a pick from Jones. Saunders double teamed on the play. Loses the ball, and it's picked up by Georgia. Carried by Jason Noble, who has scored in this game tonight. Georgia leading at 16-5 with 1:45 left to play into the third quarter. Jordan McIntosh with the ball, tipping it back over to Miles Thompson. Thompson left, Thompson right, Thompson with a shot. Save off the side of the goalpost from DeRusio. Ball swatted back out at midfield, and it's fielded by Jordan McIntosh. And he'll slow things down as Randy Stotts finds an opening field wide. Over to the far side to Jordan Hall, now to Shane Jackson. He digs from the deep corner, taking a shot right side of the Buffalo net. Picked up by Stotts from the left point. Feed pass out in front. Tic-tac-toe. With a shot wide by Jordan Hall. And the ball cleared out by Buffalo out at midfield, however, captured by Georgia. They're just beating Buffalo at every aspect of tonight's game.
Yeah, absolutely. This whole third quarter has just been one Georgia Swarm domination. On the offense, loose balls, second, third chance opportunities. A display, a very, very fine display of lacrosse.
They're on quite a run here in the third quarter of play, leading at 16-5. 35 seconds remaining of this third quarter. Ball is finally smothered by Nick Weiss and picked up by the Bandits, and Weiss with a long outlet pass over to running Mark Stainhouse. Already two Swarm players on Stainhouse, who hangs onto the ball, retreats out at mid, while Buffalo's offense gets to work. Again, pass off. Keto Hill couldn't hang on to it. The extra attacker is out now as time ticks down with 14 seconds remaining. Now DeRusio goes back between the pipes as Buffalo's defense gets back into position. 5 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Swarm leading at 16-5, and that's going to do it. Fourth quarter coming up. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
Whether you're cutting in on a fast break or killing a penalty with a man in the BOX, you've got to keep your cool when the game heats up. Be like the Bandits and cool down with a bottle of refreshing Intense Milk. Send your taste buds on a 10-goal rush with bold, delicious flavors that explode out of the bottle, like chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Pocket bottles of Intense Milk today and follow Intense Milk on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for awesome gifts.
play for the Swarm. The Buffalo Bandits have not had a power play. And Timmy Edwards still dominates on the face-off X, 15 out of 24.
Hope you're enjoying this evening's game. If you're in Georgia and watching it worldwide on Twitter, again, 280 million subscribers to Twitter, 62 million in U.S. and Canada. And it's the best place and fastest place to see what's happening. And yes, for 140 characters, it's a big story to be told. Twitter is available in more than 40 languages. Great to be a part of the National Lacrosse League for the 2017 season. And for the postseason as well. The next Twitter game will be next Saturday night when Saskatchewan goes to Calgary. The broadcast time will be at 9 o'clock. So hope you are enjoying tonight's free coverage on Twitter of NLL Lacrosse. And you're seeing the best team in the National Lacrosse League this evening in the Georgia Swarm. Outscoring Buffalo 5-0 in the third quarter of play to take a 16-5 lead. What would be, Randy, some other things that you might tell new viewers of Twitter while they're watching this game? We said about the basics, 200 by 85 feet. Goals are 4 feet high by 4 feet 9 inches wide. Yes, the goaltenders wear different types of padding out there, a little bit of a larger than normal catching pads you would see in baseball, and the big stick, but other things that, from your perspective, being a former player and a coach.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of different sports that they might be aware of, right? It's, obviously in a hockey rink, right, 5-on-5. A lot of it's basketball. Basketball is obviously international. A lot of it's angles, pick and rolls, slip picks. Now, when you set a pick, kind of like basketball, other than more like field lacrosse, like you can kind of lean into a guy and make him miss and try to get him off of an angle. I always kind of say this, from a sports standpoint, you take hockey, you're not allowed to slash. Here, you're allowed to cross check. You're allowed to hit a lot of body contact, which is which I believe a lot of fans like, right? It's high intense. I think that if the goals come in bunches. You don't necessarily have to be a guy that plays two-handed, more like a field lacrosse, standpoint, where, it's kind of like you play your strong side. So either you're a lefty or a righty. That's where you see guys doing little flip passes or behind the back, because you just always stay to your strengths, so to speak. And it's a phenomenal game, and it continues to evolve and grow, this National Lacrosse League, and that just more and more parity, more and more kids are playing box lacrosse. So that's good news for the National Lacrosse League moving forward.
And field lacrosse is picked up like wildfire. And a good adage for players to learn the box game, Randy, with a lot of players that you recruit to Canisius College for the field lacrosse, you encourage them to play box lacrosse.
Well, I think it's just a natural counterpart. When you're playing box, you got to be good in tight spaces. You kind of got a sense where you got to have quick decision making. Because you can't run away. You're not on a big field and you can just run away from pressure. There's the shot clock. So everything that you do is quick. It's fast. Just like there.
How about quickness?
Toe, on the ball, boom, the ball's in the back of the net. Great goal by Miles Thompson again. Yeah. And those are the things where I think then you bring that into the field game. That's a hat trick for Miles Thompson. Thanks, Scotty. It's a lot of those skills can translate to the field game. More and more the field game is typically trying to be a faster paced, up and down, a two-way midfielder, great attackman, great defense, and so I think a lot of the skills in box lacrosse translate very, very well to the field game.
And you have some really fine, skilled players from Georgia Swarm who are excellent field players, and Miles Thompson and Lyle Thompson as well, and many of these players from Georgia playing the field game.
Oh, you got, Kyle Matisse from Robert Morris, right? You got, I'm just going to throw it if you, Brian Cole played at Maryland. You got Jason Noble was at Cornell. So a lot of these guys have that opportunity to go play for 4 years, as we see another marker in.
Good Lord. Chad Tutton from North Carolina as well.
Yeah, Chad Tutton from North Carolina. I believe that goal was from Kyle Matisse. The big 6'5", high to low, through the pads. You know, so they go, you get the opportunity to go play 4 years in college, play high-level field lacrosse. You lift every day, you run every day, you got your stick in your hand every day. You play in the summer loop sometimes up in Canada, depending upon. And then you get drafted. You got the opportunity to come back, you know, to play box lacrosse in the National Lacrosse League. You know, and you're just your talent level. And there's so many young players playing. Even the non-traditional American players that maybe hadn't gotten to the box lacrosse, you know, maybe since they were very, very young. You take like a Joel White, phenomenal, played at Syracuse, transition guy, D guy, and you know, so you know, all of a sudden you have professional leagues to come to in the National Lacrosse League. I know as they continue to evolve, looking more and more about the parity and the skill level of these players.
Georgia now with an 18-5 lead in the fourth quarter of play, and we're talking about our viewers tonight, many of which are new, watching on Twitter and saying, what is this all about? Great indoor game, averaging some 25 to 28 goals per game. They come in bunches. You're seeing one of the best teams in the NLL in the Georgia Swarm, the Eastern Division champions, crowned last week at a win tonight, which looks pretty good for them right now to have the best record overall in the league and home field advantage throughout the 2017 playoffs. Shot by Keto Hill over the crossbar, hitting the backboards back out to midfield. What would you recommend, Randy, for kids wanting to learn the game of cross? Would you tell them to start out in field and then get a feel for the box game, or vice versa? Would you tell them to start in box?
Well, I think at a younger age, you know, if you can play box, here's the advantage. You know, when you're young and you're trying to evolve, you know, into the game, you pick up a stick, you love it, you start to learn how to catch and throw, and you know all that stuff that comes with it. When you're playing in the box, you know, if you miss a pass because you're just learning the game, well, the ball goes off the boards, it comes back, you got to pick up a ground ball, you got to handle a ground ball. If you're in the park learning the game with your friends, or maybe you're at a little modified or youth practice, you're 7, 8 years old, and you're playing with little Joey, and you throw a bad pass, well, then you got to run 40 yards to go get the ball to come back to play with little Joey again.
Right.
So you get more reps in the box at a younger age because, you know, you got the boards, the ball's coming back, you learn angles.
Stays in play.
It stays in play. You get more and more and more and more reps. You know, and so that's you know, I think a big thing, because you just get more touches with the stick. You know, obviously you want to translate that into the field game. You're playing for your modified school, grade 6, grade 7, whatever that metric is. You know, and then you can, you know, then you start to, you know, harness. Am I going to be an ambidextrous player? Am I going to be a defensive guy? You know, am I going to be more of an attackman? And you start to fine tune those things. But that's the advantage, especially when you're young playing box, is you just get more touches on the ball. You know, if you're just more of a traditional field guy, kind of an interesting thing is, as a young kid, you don't really get as many touches on the ball because, you know, you're learning the game, and if you miss a pass, you got to go run for it. But then that's where American field guys, in my personal perspective, are, you know, the two-way guys tend to be better athletes because they always got to go run to go get the ball.
Right.
You know, where...
And that's what I think has elevated the game of indoor lacrosse just over the course of the last 5 years, with more and more field players learning this game and the nuances, and of course just the incredible gifted talent of the Thompson family, and Miles and Lyle. And Jerome is not playing this evening, and then the other brothers throughout the league as well. But just phenomenal. They have such gift, and the fact that they can play both field and box lacrosse. But again, I think back to my point about the athleticism of this game being changed just in 5 short years, with everybody looking after themselves and making the game even faster, and the players are bigger, and like they say in hockey, bigger, faster, and even better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys are doing this. They're training, they're practicing, video, all that stuff. Like, it's a daily thing for these guys, and you know, as it should be. And that's where all of a sudden, you know, you can look off and just right there, you know, Johnny Palace, I don't know who he hit on the backside, but was looking one way and then just jammed a pass right to a stick with a one-touch on the PP. And I believe that's Miles Thompson on the backside. And, you know, you got to practice that. You know, you practice that. You practice putting the ball to sticks, not into a box. You know, you got to put it to a guy's stick. And you know, it's just a fundamental of loving the game and being passionate about it and playing in repetition. And kind of an interesting thing is, you know, I kind of look at it like this. You know, if you really love the game, odds are sooner or later you probably busted a window in your house or you dented your dad's car.
Yeah.
Because you're always just playing, you know, and but that's the passion that you have to be at this level. And then you got to put in the work. And you know, if you want to play at the highest level, you know, with the best, you know, that's no easy task. It's hard to do. And you know, you're seeing a representative tonight. You know, these guys, the skill level here is just phenomenal.
Well, we're seeing something that for those of you on Twitter might have not seen before. This is a penalty shot, and one of the players interfered with from behind and tackled all over. It'll be Anthony Malcolm, and this is a free shot on goal, similar to ice hockey, with collecting the ball out of the face-off circle, and Anthony Malcolm will go in by himself on goaltender Mike Poulin. So a rarity in the game, a penalty shot here in the fourth quarter of play for Buffalo. They are down 19-5 with 8 minutes and 58 seconds remaining. And here comes Malcolm. Trying to do the deke. He misses that one, and it's just not going Buffalo's way. No pun intended, but the bounce is just not happening tonight for Buffalo. Passing, shooting, and this is just a schooling by Georgia tonight.
Yeah, it just is. You know, it's just not falling Buffalo's way. You know, they were in the game, got into a little bit of the penalty trouble.
I'm surprised. I really am. I'm surprised at the performance of this club. It's an emotional night, as it is, with the celebration of life of Tucker Williams, and knowing that they had to win this game and get some help from Rochester or Saskatchewan, and coming up with a performance like this tonight with the second to last game of the regular season campaign. It's just it's been a reflection of the frustrating moments of the 2017 of this edition of the Buffalo Bandits. And you know, we had Steve Dietrich on at halftime talking about if he had a chance to do the trade all over again, would he trade Brad Self? And you know, tempers getting on high and the frustrations, yes, happening right now, and particularly for Steve Priolo. He's got to be frustrated with some of the players that are just not happy with the performance of his club and wanted to get in a duke with Joel White, but that's not going to happen. So I asked Steve Dietrich at halftime if you had the chance to do over again, would you have traded Brad Self? And he said, yes, I would have done the trade for sure. Now, granted, there was, 90% of it was for family situations, and, and this game is still very close in certain instances where family comes first.
Well, I even think, too, but there was more of a business aspect to it as well, though. I mean,
yeah.
And again, maybe that's the right thing in the global sense, but, at the end of the day, Brad was going to be an unrestricted free agent. So do you try to get something back for him, knowing that at the end of the day, he's probably not going to be back next year.
Right.
And
well, that's the risk you take, and that's the price you pay in the business.
Right.
But when a guy's playing well for you at the time, and there's a chemistry starting to settle in, and then to disrupt that, and I don't think the team is, to tell you the truth, the team has not recovered since trading Brad Self off this club. And I think there's just been a totally discombobulation of the forwards and the offense, and nobody trusts anybody, and just the enthusiasm. And tonight is just a perfect display of not getting into this game and not performing the way this club can perform. I mean, it's the third top club in the NLL in scoring at 204 goals coming into this evening's game, and to have 5 goals on the scoreboard with 8:27 left in the fourth quarter of play it just boggles my mind.
Right, but I think it's, again, the loose balls, just right there as a parent. It's the loose balls. Again, I think from a goaltending aspect going forward, the 8 minutes left, it's 19-5. You know, is it a function of, okay, you know, where are we going with the goaltending? And I don't know how many times, you know, but if you will, it just kind of feels like, you know, at least 8-9 times this year, you know, a goalie needed to be pulled because they just weren't on. You know, I think, you know, just happenstance, you know, Dane Smith goes down, Banesh was out for a while. You know, and again, are they reasons or are they excuses? You know, you got a variety of, you know, new guys. Blaze Reardon got a little bit more of a regular kind of shift. Adam Will, Timmy Edwards. So there's some of these young guys that are still all in there, you know, and you know, it's you know, you kind of finish in this game. What the hope is here, guys, you know, is, hey, you know what, you keep on grinding, you keep on playing, you don't quit, you keep on getting after it, you know. That's what the Buffalo Bandits fans expect. You know, even though that this margin might be insurmountable at this point, you know, goals still do come in all kinds of runs. But you know, but it's a fundamental of you got to play the game hard. You play it for 60, you know, and then you're probably going to get into next week, and you know, if they're officially out of the playoffs. You know, it's, hey, everybody's starting to play for jobs next year. You know, it's,
yeah.
You know, this will be the last time out this year, and you know, and you know, the brain trust and Steve and the coaching staff, you know, got to sit there and say, hey, you know what works, what didn't work. You know, do we got to try to build through the draft? Do we got to make trades? You know, and that'll be tough. You know, I wouldn't be surprised that there's, you know, a variety of changes going into next year, you know, in Banditland. Just, you know, at the end of the day, just one of those, you know, just a season that just felt like things just weren't right, weren't going right.
Well, so far, so good for the Bandits here in the mini run that they put together. Mark Stainhouse started it out with the first goal of the second half, and then Mitch Jones follows up, and the score now 19-7.
You know, and you never know if this is an amazing run, right? Timmy Edwards has been winning faceoffs, so you never ever say never. Goals can happen in a quick hurry here.
Plenty of time. 6:51 remaining in the fourth quarter, 17-9. Buffalo with 2 goals after being shut out in the third quarter, 5-0, and have come back. And a pretty play, I must say. That was a nice play before Mitch Jones's goal. And the passing was right on, and Stainhouse the perfect position right in front of goaltender Mike Poulin to find net.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a dart, you know, jammed straight in. Stainhouse able to, you know, corral that and give a little hedge fake, and boom, short side.
Jonesy finding net for the Bandits here in the fourth quarter of play. 17-9 Georgia. Twice this year, Georgia has posted scores of 21, and now finally there's a call against Georgia. Stainhouse goes to the turf, tackled, and I believe it will be the boy from North Carolina.
Yeah, Chad Tutton's going to go to the box for a hold. Buffalo going to go on the power play. Let me check with Scotty. That's their first power play of the evening. 6:18 left in the fourth quarter. You know, I gotta say also with the Georgia Swarm, I mean, of all the offensive guys that they have, you know, they do have a phenomenal sense of leadership in guys like Jordan Hall that played at Delaware, who was more of an offensive guy in the loop as he's kind of gotten into the veteran. He's found that role to be a leader transition. D guy, every once in a while, he'd get out there on the power play, would be a man down guy. Jordan McIntosh out of RIT. I mean, he's a two-way guy, can play O, can play D, do whatever they need to do for the team. And I just feel Eddie Como's really, and his coaching staff and the management have really put together a really nice young team. And it just seems right veteran leadership, and a lot of the guys that are on the offensive side of the ball and some of the defense, they're starting to get into their prime. I mean, they're relatively young. You know,
oh my gosh, Randy, 10 players on Georgia's roster, 3 seasons or less. So, as you say, they're just coming into their prime, and just very talented group of players. As we had mentioned in the pregame show, what did you count? 8 players that can score right out of the front door?
Oh, yeah.
At will?
Absolutely. You know, and again, so you got to look at it, you know, and you lick the wounds, and you start to try to figure out, okay, well, what works, what doesn't work. Oh, it's a great save by Poulin.
How about that ground ball by Stainhouse? Resetting the shot clock, and 50 seconds left in Tutton's call. It is 19-7 Georgia. Mitch Jones Ryan Benesh from Stainhouse to Benesh. Malcolm to Benesh. Jones. Now to Malcolm from the top of the slot. Tried to feed it over to Jones when he had a lane open. Could have taken a shot. But it's picked up by Georgia, which they are so good at doing. And with 25 seconds left in the penalty to Chad Tutton, Georgia will hang on to the ball at midfield. They will go back home next week to face Rochester. It's fan appreciation night.
Uh-oh.
There's a break for Georgia, straight in. Score. 20 goals scored tonight. And the remaining the people that have stuck around KeyBank Center, what a great crowd it had at the beginning of the night. Many of them have hit the concourses and down the escalators, and many of them, I'm sure, just driving home right now as we speak. 20-7.
Yeah, that's a tough goal. It's a great goal for Jordan Hall, the veteran out of Delaware. Buffalo is man. It has the man advantage. It's a 5-on-4 defensive-wise in favor of Buffalo. Buffalo doubles the ball. Somebody just goes and leaves and goes to the bench and just leaves Jordan Hall all alone. They find him. He comes in on a breakaway.
Well, we missed the first break, so we can't afford to miss this one. Fourth quarter, 4:28 remaining, 27 Georgia. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
June 17th at Canalside. See you there.
Down the thruway in Rochester, 4:48 left in the fourth quarter. The Nighthawks with a 14-11 lead over New England. And underway in Saskatchewan. Toronto, the Rock, and the Rush getting underway into the first quarter. Scoreless, 13:59 remaining. And in pregame right now, Colorado at Vancouver. That is a 10 o'clock start. Here in Buffalo, the Swarm with a 5-goal run in the third quarter. Fueling the lead now here in the fourth quarter, despite Buffalo's run with Anthony Malcolm, Mark Stainhouse, and Mitch Jones. They have taken a 20-7 lead. There's Buffalo's shot straight on to the top of the slot by Ryan Benesh, but easily stopped by Poulin. And with 4:14 remaining, Chad Tutton, free from the penalty box, has got the ball, and Ed Cuomo will send out a form of players. Did we mention about Richie Kilgore, who was in the building this evening and recovering from injuries last week after a home incident where he fell off the roof, broke his foot, and cracked his shoulder, broke his shoulder as well.
Ouch.
But he came to the morning shoot-around, was out on the turf with his defensive core, and in the building tonight, I saw him at pregame, and booted up and slinged up and walking with a cane in a total pain. And get this, while he was going through the shoot-around with the team this morning, he was out on the turf watching the guys go through their drills. And one of the errant balls hit his bootleg where he had the boot on. That hurt. Where he broke his ankle.
Well, we hope for a speedy recovery with Richie.
Boy, a tough guy, Richie Kilgore, the defensive coordinator for the Bandits, again involved in a accident at home after a wild windstorm and trying to reset things on the roof, and just lost his balance and fell off from the ladder support. 3 minutes left to play here in the fourth quarter. Bandits next week here at KeyBank Center against the Toronto Rock. Again, they're just underway in Saskatoon facing the Rush, and That's all we talked about at the beginning of the game, how important this one was. And the next one, which trying to set up the fact that had the Rush beat Toronto, it would have come down to win and you're in, and that would have been next week at the 7:30 face-off time here at Key Bank. But Georgia will claim the best record in the National Lacrosse League with this victory tonight with 2:25 remaining and leading it 20-7. And just the third quarter, the Bandits lost control. And as Steve Dietrich had mentioned at halftime, just not happy at all with the performance of his club at the first half. And I'm sure he's not a happy camper right now. And deciphering the roster of who will play next week. And I would imagine the younger kids who are involved in the practice roster, Bryce Brochu, Briar Jonathan as well, and wrap things out here with 1:45 remaining. Georgia record will improve to 12-4. Buffalo's record will drop to 6-11, and they are eliminated from playoffs with 1:33 remaining and down 13 goals. So the formation as it stands right now, Georgia, New England, and Toronto up front. And we'll find out what the rundown will be in the Western Division, because the big battles are going on now. And has somebody actually challenged something?
No, under 2 minutes. Stainhouse scored a goal. You'll see it here on the replay. Going underneath, making the dive, goes far side. So I think that they're going to check to see if this is a good goal with it being under 2 minutes.
I give it to him. Scott Fleetwood says no, but I like his midair flight. He's in flight right now. What do you think, Randy?
Well, the question would be, does he land in the crease before the ball goes over the goal line?
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah, it looks like from my perspective,
his right knee is down. As we go frame by frame, and Chris Williams won't waste any time on this one, and will have his decision once the helmet goes on with 1:32 remaining here in the fourth. Here's the decision. There's one positive mark as well. No traffic while going home out of Key Bank Center, as this building has almost been vacated after a wonderful 16,833 through the turnstiles at the start of the game, and many have gone home. As the Swarm will just run out the clock now with 1:20 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Shots on goal favoring the Swarm, 54-37. What a phenomenal night for Randy Stotts. 10 points. Randy Mearns. As we get a possession change on a technical foul, possession over to Georgia. Lyle Thompson with 2 goals, 8 assists for 10 points. Miles has 4 goals for 5 points, another assist. Shane Jackson, very respectable night, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. Kyle Matisse, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. And Randy Stotts, we have unofficially 4 goals, 3 assists, but 10 points for Stotts after all is said and done. 35 to go, and an embarrassing loss. One of the worst that I have seen in 14 years of covering the Bandits, losing it tonight 20-17. Randy, I don't think we've seen this kind of margin in a long time.
Yeah, I would concur. That's been a...
I know one of the playoff games we did, they only managed 5 goals, if that, against the New York Titans back a while ago, but this one is just bad. And they're just going to let the clock run out, even with DeRusio making a long shot out of it. It's a final 20-7 tonight. The Swarm eliminating Buffalo from the 2017 playoffs. What an embarrassment. This is Bandits Lacrosse.
Hello everyone, Mia Gordon and Tyson Geik here from NLL Productions, and thank you all so much for tuning in to our NLL Twitter Game of the Week between the Buffalo Bandits and the Georgia Swarm. And man, oh man, has it been loud in Bandit Land.
Yeah, I expected nothing less down in Bandit Land. Always a great time, always a nuts atmosphere.
Speaking of another crazy atmosphere, how about Calgary? And that is where our next Twitter game of the week will be taking place as the Calgary Roughnecks face off against the Saskatchewan Rush in the last regular season game of 2017.
Absolutely wild. And it's the Battle of the Prairies, always a great game between these two teams. And you know what they say in Calgary? Come for the party, stay for the game. Another great atmosphere there.
It'll definitely be a great game to catch, and you can catch it all live on Twitter on the NLL Twitter page. Start time for that one, April 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern.